All right, troops, welcome to the War Room. My name is Owen. So tonight we're changing up a little bit, and we're not going for your typical action movie. We're going to have a look at Robert Eggers' The Northman, which is a big Viking epic, which is some moments of gore, some hack and slash, and it's generally a pretty awesome movie. But we're going to discuss it and do our usual space techniques. So I'm going to bring in the crew before we start. So first off is Charlie. How are you?
What's happening, everybody?
And next up is John. How are you?
Good evening.
All right, and then of course, J-Man.
Hey guys.
I can't do the intro and not do that. That's just the way it has to be.
We need a sound drop now, though. You know, we need that whole big thing from the Castle Grayskull happening in the background.
Yeah.
I should send you guys. I made little logos for the guys on my stream, like Steve and Sean. So Sean likes Transformers, so I made him. It's like, and it becomes the. So mine is like the normal J, and then like Skeletor's hand punches it and makes the crack, and that's how you get my logo. So that's like I have a little animation. I maybe if I have time, I'll do little animations for all of you guys and see.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah,
interesting.
I could see. I'll talk to you guys individually and see what you like or something. Maybe like explosions, and it says like John or whatever.
Awesome.
You can't go wrong with explosions. That's pretty much the answer.
No.
I know.
Car crashes.
Michael Bay the shit out of it, man. We're good.
Yeah, we have to just video of the camera spinning around us as we get up.
As we're looking up.
Yeah.
What'd be really cool is if we did the NWO. If you watch wrestling, with the music, and it's like in the black and white flashing, and we're like, yeah.
So before we start talking about the Northman, we just have to say a big thank you to our friend Jean-Claude Van Damme, who shared last week's live stream when we talked about Death Warrant, and he shared it to his Facebook page and has been just an awesome supporter of the site. So Jean-Claude, if you're watching, thank you so much. You are the king.
Thank you. Yeah,
you're the man.
So, Jay, if you want to do your usual explanation then of space before we start.
Yep. So the way we look at movies is we've been using the space technique, which I kind of developed just to help focus in on reviews and kind of, just sort of like streamline it, but also explain more your position on a movie, not just say, oh, it's 5 out of 10. And how did you come up with 5 out of 10? And then someone's like, well, you gave this 4 out of 10 and you gave this 6 out of 10. You're a moron and, whatever. So I kind of came up with this system of rating a movie against itself. So there's the promise of a movie, which is, in this case, we're talking about The Northman. It is a Viking movie. It is an epic. It's going to be cinematic, all that stuff. So how well did it deliver on that promise? And we use 5 categories to get to a score. So we've got the story, which is an obvious thing. The story, the pacing, is it well paced for the movie it's telling or for the story it's telling? Artistry, so that includes the look, action, music, costuming in this case, all that kind of stuff, atmosphere kind of. We've got characters and of course, do you like the characters? Do you like the villains? Are they good? Are they bad? Do you hate the bad guys? Are the good guys really good? Are you cheering them on? And then we've got the enjoyment. And enjoyment just means, look, you liked it or you didn't like it. You don't have to really explain that category. So you've got the 5 categories, which spells out space, story, pacing, artistry, characters, enjoyment. And each category gets a score out of 2. So 0 for bad, 1 for good, 2 for great. So was the story bad? You give it a 0 out of 2. Was the story okay? You give it a 1. Was it really good? You give it a 2, or you can do 0.5s. You total it up. There's your score. Make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Works for me. So I'm going to start off rather than me. Charlie, you want to start off with story, seeing as you did the review on the site. You have the con.
Oh, I have the con. Thanks. I appreciate that. Since I was the first one to dive into this. I think we should start out right now, get this out of the way. This movie is not an action movie. It has action in it. It is brutal. It is bloody. It has everything an action movie needs. It's not an action movie, though, guys. I'm sorry. It's just not. But story, this, I still don't have it wrote down on my pad because I've been struggling with it. It's a classic story. It's Amleth is what it's loosely based on, which is also loosely based for Hamlet in Shakespeare. So everyone that thought that this felt like a play, yeah, that's kind of the whole thing. That's what it is. Yep. So story, I think I'm going to give it a 1 because it's pretty generic. It's good. Like J-Man just said, 1 is good. It's not great. It's not over the top, but I don't think it ever was supposed to be. So the story itself is just basically a really good revenge plot. Not plot, but a revenge journey to find oneself and then to, honor the death of his father, the king. So I want to leave some more room for you guys to talk about it too, but I'm going to start with story at 1.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'll just go next. Story for me is also a 1. It's nothing new. It is at its core, a revenge story. But I do like the sort of the mystical elements. I think that makes it sort of more interesting. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's very similar to Hamlet. And yes, we do know Shakespeare in this live stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Isn't he a hockey player? No.
I think he is, yeah.
Did he play with Gretzky?
Yeah.
Didn't he play with the fucking Red Wings? What movie is that from? Anybody knows that quote?
I don't know. Canadian.
Is it Sudden Death?
No, the Rock.
Oh, The Rock.
So anyway, so that's me. So John.
I'm gonna agree. 1 again. I mean, and that's not where the strength of this movie is. It's not a story. The story's basic, and you've seen it before. Like I said, Shakespeare based his play Hamlet off of Hamlet because he was influenced by the Viking mysticism and everything. And so dad dies. Son wants revenge, So that in terms of that, I mean, you can't go 2. It's a 2. It's the most original thing I've ever seen in my life. That's not the case, and I'm not going to harp on it any more than that. It's your basic, like Charlie said, it's vengeance. But how it's done as we get into it, that's where it's all going to be like, hey, that's where it's going to be like, yeah. So that's where the star power is going to come into. So yeah, so I'm giving it a 1 also.
Okay, all right, Jay, over to you.
I'm giving it a 2.
Oh,
I'll explain why.
Okay.
Firstly, it's based on a classical story, but that is important. And if it's a Viking tale, then it's an original adaptation of a Viking tale, which is old. So because the story is simple, it's only simple because it's been used so often. And in the context of what this movie's presenting, I think it's done very well. And yeah, there's also plotting. The story on the surface, I think, is very simple, but digging deeper into the sort of the journey of that character, and that'll come in perhaps in the character section, but also I think it's a little bit more in the story because I'm actually, when we get to characters, I'll give you my 2 cents on that. But the way it's presented and the way that it moves along in a simple way, but an intriguing way, and adding, as Owen said, adding the little mysticism to it is sort of the sprinkling of like extra stuff that we don't normally get. You might just have him be like, I want revenge. He then learns to be an awesome warrior and then goes and gets revenge. It's not really like that. It is on the surface, it's very simple revenge, but it's actually not exactly like that. Like Conan the Barbarian is more like, I want revenge, but then it's sort of like, I don't want it because now I'm on this journey. And this is what happened with this guy. He takes a long time to get revenge. It's like he doesn't really know. It's not till the mysticism parts come in that he starts to say, okay, you know what? Here's where I've got to really start to do something now and fulfill this destiny. So, I mean, I could settle for 1.5, but I really got into like what was going on. And even though it's simple, it is simple. So a 1 is justifiable because it is a simple story. I think that they added a lot more to it than they really even needed to add, because if they removed all the extra little cool bits, it still would have been the same, but they added to it. So I think that they're like, you know what, we got a generic story, but we're going to give you a little bit more than what you would expect out of this story. So I'm going to reward it for that. Yeah, I don't know. I got into it. So
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, you're never in any doubt that you're watching a Robert Eggers movie. I mean, it's if you've seen The Witch and the Lighthouse, it's sort of very similar. He has that sort of visual style. I thought The Lighthouse was fantastic. I didn't love The Witch. In fact, I remember we laughed at it at the cinema.
I didn't like The Witch at all.
No, I was like, is this meant to be scary or what? Because it's not. So I remember we didn't like that, and I remember people just started laughing throughout it and everything. So that didn't quite work, but. No, I mean, yeah, there's enough interesting stuff to this story to keep it going, but also then we'll move on to pacing. So, Charlie, if you want to take it from here.
I'll start back again on that. Pacing's another spot I had issue with in this movie was, and I also read up on possibly why pacing ended up the way it was. So I'm going to go ahead and say my pacing for this movie is a 1. Now, I want to touch slightly on what J-Man just said. Everything he brought up that boosts up his story score is what I'm boosting up in artistry and things of that nature, where it's just, I'm like, John, I'm starting low because I can't give this movie a 10. But I couldn't give the next few any lower scores than I did. Right. So pacing, Eggers didn't get to edit this movie the way he wanted to. The final product isn't Eggers. It was a lot of studio interference. He's had interviews about it and everything. This was my actual first Eggers movie, and I think I went into this the absolute best way I could have. I've never seen an Eggers movie. I didn't watch any of the trailers. I looked at a poster and went, fuck yeah, I want to watch that movie. So I went into this totally ready to go, totally to be immersed. And I was, and that score comes later. But pacing wise, there's a lot of drawn out stuff between what happens. And while I'm going to ding it on pacing, there's other things that I appreciate about what happens in the middle of the pacing. So it's a 1 on pacing for me.
Okay. Once again, yes, also a 1 for me. Someone said it is very slow in parts and very talky, and I was like, yeah, it is. Although I was never bored. There's no point where I was like, oh, come on. I loved it because it was just the characters and everything, which we'll get to in a minute, but just the world of it. And it wasn't your typical overblown CGI filled blockbuster that we get today. I like the fact that it had quiet moments and it had all amazing scenery and things, which we'll get to in a minute. But like I said, the mysticism and general weirdness, you're sort of like, what on earth is going on? This is cool. But I'm intrigued, and I want to stick with it and see where this is going. And there was enough action to keep me interested as well. There's some good sword fights and some pretty awesome gore moments. Not too many. It's not like graphically violent throughout, but there's enough moments where you're like, oh, nice. Excuse me. So yeah, definitely a 1 for me. So John, over to you.
So this is going to be a little bit of an interesting take for me. So I'm watching this movie with a neurological disorder. So let me just give you a little history. So like I watched the movie today, and when you said it, Vendetta, I had no problem following that movie at all. That was basic 90 minutes of you got it. This movie now, I'm going to give it a 1.5, and here's why. Now, yes, there are slow parts, and yes, I mean, like I love the beginning, and I love because the beginning I got a Conan the Barbarian feel to it, it kind of had that look and that feel. Even when his dad died, it was kind of like, the scene where, in Conan the Barbarian, he's holding his mom's hand and, you just see her head fall down, and she lets go of him. So that it wasn't like as dramatic as that, but just him watching his dad, and then he sees his dad get his head cut off. So yeah, so I like that stuff. And the Berserker stuff was great. I wanted to see more of that, actually. And but then but as a person with a neurological disorder, I watched it twice. I watched it last night. I watched it this morning again because I was like, some of it was, and I was like, what's going on? And my wife was watching it with me last night, and I was asking her questions, because I just was having trouble following some of it. And because I had to follow so closely, even the slow parts I was interested in because I was trying. Do you know what I'm saying? I was trying to focus so hard on what I was watching because this is definitely a movie that has a lot going into it. So even as it slowed down, I knew it was getting slow. And if I was at a normal stage, like I was before, I probably would have given it a 1. But I was like focused on it so intensely that, even as it was going through, I was still immersed in watching what I was watching because I was trying to pay so close attention to it. So it's a 1.5 for me out of that.
Okay.
Don't you know the decimal system?
Shout out to Thrash Pondo. I did a live stream with him and Ian a few weeks back. So Thrash, we've got to get you on once I'm back from vacation because I know we've been wanting to do one. He was going to join us for the Walter Hill one, but couldn't because he was working. So we're going to maybe do the shows on a Wednesday night, and then Thrash can be able to join us for the next one. So we'll see how that goes. So Thanks for commenting. So, Jay, over to you.
I was close to 2, man. I'm going back between 2 and 1.5. I'll tell. I'm really close. I might do 1.5 on story and 1.5 on pacing, and that kind of maybe evens those two out. The thing with me is that I love long movies when they need to be long, because I like getting into the world of what's happening. So I think this movie had a lot of stuff that perhaps could have been edited out, but also requires you to understand the mind frame of the people that live in this world and how this works. Like, we need to see, this is how slavery worked for these people. It's like, this is how it worked if you were, a Viking warrior, like raiding the village and stuff. And normally you'd have the village being raided and then that'd be the end of it. You could cut it there. So, okay, they raided a village. But I like seeing the aftermath of this, where it's like, oh shit, okay, so some people, they're just burning down, and some people are like, okay, we need these people.
Yeah.
I never saw that before. Conan the Barbarian is my favorite movie, and it's a masterpiece, and we can do hours of a stream on. I'll tell you why it's the best.
We will.
But this movie, it's not as good as Conan the Barbarian. But like, the thing is, it's like you don't see too much of the aftermath of them just hanging out afterwards. I'm like, they're just standing around. You're like, there's people right there. It's like, why they're not fighting back? I guess they're just demoralized or whatever. So I like that. And just to see how things work, it's like, how does the daily life of the Viking village operate? Like, they're like, oh, we need more slaves. Yeah, but mom doesn't want any more. It's like, well, maybe we could just take one. I'm like, this is kind of cool. So I don't know. I guess there's some could have been edited out. I'm trying to think what could have been edited out. That's the first go-to for me for pacing. Like, what can I remove out of this movie? Like, I can remove 1 hour out of Eternals and it's the same garbage movie we got. So like, I don't know. I think I'll give it a 1.5. And then I might go back and ding the story 1.5, because it is slightly, I mean, it is generic, but I don't know. Let me. I'm at 1.5 for now, and then we'll
mull that around, Jay, man.
I'm going to mull that over. Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
All right, Charlie, artistry.
Okay. This is when things change.
I think we're all going to agree on this one.
Yeah, I think so.
Because, and that's what I think you guys are sprinkling artistry into the story and the pacing, because I could not tear my eyes away from this movie. If I'd had to piss, I'd have been sitting in a wet seat. I was not going to miss anything in this movie.
Yeah.
I was hooked from the second it started with him as a child. The whole thing, the whole ceremony with his father was just, I'm sure that's where a lot of people got lost. It's dudes naked barking at each other. But if you just, if you just get lost in the story and what's happening around you, and then the way Eggers shot this to where the stuff is happening at the bottom of the screen, but yet you have this landscape going on behind it that is just, I'm just trying to take it all in, and I'm watching it in the theater, which I really wish you guys had done. This movie was fantastic in a theater. And every time another scene popped up, I was glued to it. The Berserker raid is a one-shot take. That was just a one and done. And I swear to God, if Skarsgård doesn't turn into an action god after this, of how ripped that dude was, how just, he was just pure viciousness, feral. You believed it. He sold it. And this is also, Eggers did this movie, but it was also Skarsgård who was also champagning this movie a lot. He actually convinced Eggers to do it. So this guy was into it. I loved it. The artistry is phenomenal, from the rituals, the background, everything on screen. Nothing could be edited as far as I'm concerned. I want more. I'm hoping there's more in the Blu-ray 4K release. That's what I'm waiting on. I didn't even do the digital yet. I want more of this movie. I want the behind the scenes, everything. Yeah. And it's a 2. I know I didn't say that yet. I guess you could figure out this movie gets a 2 in artistry.
Yeah. And once again, same for me too. I think it looks incredible. Cinematography is awesome. Just every scene looks incredible. I mean, that final fight at the volcano, I was just like, that's awesome. That's like one of my favorite scenes of like recent times. I was just, I want to see more films set on a volcano. So you had enough sword fights. There's some decent gore too. The guy stabbed in the face with the sword was awesome. And then the dude's intestines falling out. I was like, Bravo.
Bravo.
So that was cool. But yeah, like I said earlier, you're watching an Eggers movie, particularly like The Witch. I thought just visually it felt like that. Of those three movies, this is his most accessible. I guess it's weird and might be a bit ponderous for some taste, but I still think it is his most accessible. And I watched it in one go. I didn't pause it or anything. I couldn't tear myself away from it, like Charlie said.
Yep.
So it's an easy 2 for me. So, John?
Yeah. Oh, so okay. So this is where the movie's strength is. I mean, not only because again, I'm not gonna lie. Like you especially like when you watch the Red Band trailer, it totally misled you on what kind of movie this was going to be. If you watched the Red Band trailer, this is like the show Vikings. This is like it plays it like it's a Vikings episode on steroids. It's like, and then you got all these quotes from all these people that have seen it. This is the most bad, and it's just like, and they're showing Alexander Skarsgård swinging in every scene and everything, and you just think it's one of those movies. Now, when I started watching it, I was like, oh, wait a second, this is not that movie. I am not watching a Vikings episode at all. And I loved how this is a Vikings movie, but this is again, none of us were alive in that time period, but I think they probably nailed what it was like in that time period to be a Viking. And are we doing spoilers or not?
Spoiler alert.
Okay,
I guess so. Yeah.
Well, I won't. I don't want to piss anybody
fine.
off. But again, I love the Valkyrie. I love those scenes. And again, the ending. Oh, when you were talking about the volcano fight scene, and I love how he chops his head off, he stabs him at the same time. I was just like, that was awesome. And then, and the ending brought back because Excalibur is one of my most favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Fantastic. Love it.
The ending where he comes back, he's like, Arthur, and you see him on the boat in the water with the ladies around him. Mm-hmm. That ending of him getting carried to Valhalla, that reminded me of that scene. And I thought it was so beautiful and so touching. You see him, he's dying and he's looking up, and you got the voiceover, and it was just so beautiful. And then of course the action, there's not a lot of action, but I love it because it's an artistic movie punctuated with action beats. It's like you got all this beautiful visuals, all this, mysticism and this enchantment and everything. And then you got guys' heads getting chopped off, guys' intestines falling off. And I love the guy with no nose. He cuts his nose off at the beginning, and then at the end he knows it's him. He's like, I know you. Basically, he just sticks like Owen was saying. I love that scene. So you got like a Saturday night action movie, but mixed with an art house movie. And how can you beat that? It's like the perfect blend of both worlds put together. And again, I'm watching this with a disorder. So again, I kept leaning over my wife, but my wife was watching this. She's like, "What is this?" And I go, "Just keep watching, just keep watching." And I think because I was concentrating so hard onto it, I really got into it so hard. And I tell you what, I got a little like a tear ran down my face at the ending because it was just so beautiful, and it just reminded me of that moment at Excalibur. So if I could give it a 3, I would, but I'll give it a 2. It's a 2 for me. Yeah.
Well, hold on. Excalibur rocks, a dream to some, a nightmare to others.
Yes.
You know what? Maybe in the next one, why don't we talk Excalibur when I get back, and then I can bring in Thrash, because I haven't reviewed it or anything. While we're on the sword and sorcery kind of kick, we'll do Excalibur. So Thrash, if you want to do that, we'll do that whenever I get back, which would be the 8th of June, maybe. So pencil that in, kiddies.
Does anyone know the charm of making? I do. No.
So Jade, over to you. Artistry.
I'm giving it 0. No. Okay. So yeah, it's trash. No, I'm giving it 2. All the reasons mentioned. I'm trying to think if there's anything that hasn't been mentioned that I thought was cool. Music was good.
Yeah.
Not
especially memorable. It was all right.
It was like, it suited it. It didn't overpower too much of what was going on either. Sometimes you don't want it to be too overpowering. Like in Conan the Barbarian, the music helps tell the story because Schwarzenegger himself is not saying a lot of things. He's just, it's more like what he's visually doing. But in this movie, the music I think it fit. And yeah, the artistry is just showing, like how everything was shot and like all the just like the costuming and just like, it felt real. It felt like the people were really doing the things that they were doing in that time period, as sort of like kind of what John was saying. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not really much that panning shot was crazy, like that one take. It looked like one take to me. I don't know if they did any hidden cuts. I couldn't tell.
I couldn't tell on that either, but from what I read, they said it was his one shot.
Wow,
because you're basically following Skarsgård even
through
where he runs up
entire
the wall, comes down, and goes behind the huts. That's all like one shot. That's where I want to watch it again, but I want the 4K version. You know, I want the best version.
Yeah, I pre-ordered the. I don't know. I guess I pre-ordered the 4K. So and I've got surround. I've got 65-inch 4K TV with surround, so it should be pretty. It should be
epic.
Awesome. I thought. I mean, it's awesome. I don't know. There's not really much else to say. Just everything was perfect.
It's a 2 all round. All right, so Thrash is a go. All right, so Excalibur is for the next one. Then it should be fun.
Sounds good.
So we're on to characters. Charlie.
I loved every character in this movie. Skarsgård, I've already said it early on. He freaking nailed it. I love this guy. Anya, she looks like an angel that could stab you in your sleep. I mean, you felt it. She was a Valkyrie warrior goddess, whatever you want to call her in this. His father, Ethan Hawke, I had to remember who it was there. I was wanting to say Defoe, but Ethan Hawke, I love, even though he's not in it long. Loved everything about him. Nicole Kidman absolutely killed it in her role. Willem Dafoe, again, very minimal, but he's funny as hell at the beginning. And then that whole mysticism scene with his head talking was mind-blowing. And that was another part that I guess should go more towards the artistry. Was there were times in this movie that you didn't know whether what you were seeing was actually happening or was like an hallucinogenic induced kind of moment. And I loved that part about this movie as well. The guy that takes his mom, the villain, I got a quotation mark it, is perfect. And all of his little underlings, I loved all of them. I mean, I wanted all of them to die. He's going around like super stealth, killing these guys thinking the place is possessed by demons. I mean, that's bloody brilliant, man. I loved how they did it. And then he made Sleipnir up on the wall out of all of their body parts and made the 8-legged horse. And I was just like, holy shit, this is awesome. And I know it's nothing to do with character. I don't care. That's how awesome this movie is.
A character did it.
A character did it, and everyone responding and how they all are acting. And there's not a lot of dialogue in this movie, not a lot of like deep dive into anyone, but it's enough. And I think everyone nailed it. So a character gets a 2.
I'm going to try to talk you guys up on story. See, because a lot of stuff you're saying is all story elements.
But see, I'm the opposite. I think what you bumped up is other things, but it works. I think it'll all even out towards the end.
So characters for me is 2, because I'm going to say Amleth is probably my favorite character of the year in a movie. I think he's just such an absolute badass, just total beast. I love Olga, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. She really looks the part and is quite sympathetic. Also, Bjork shows up as the Seeress. I was like, oh my god, that's Bjork. So the characters are interesting as well, because you question how evil Fjolnir actually is, and you find out all these things as it goes on. It's just more interesting. Ethan Hawke is actually one of my favorite character actors. I think he makes everything good except Moon Knight. Nothing made Moon Knight good, but he was awesome. Willem Dafoe as well. I mean, after seeing him in The Lighthouse as well, so he's Eggers' muse. So it gets a solid 2 for me as well. So John.
So going in, like, I knew Ethan Hawke was in this movie, but then I didn't know that was Ethan Hawke at the beginning playing his dad. And I don't know what dinged it for me, but then he was talking. I'm like, that is that. I was like, holy shit. I was like, they totally made him look like somebody completely different. I didn't even know that was Ethan. And everybody in the movie is great. I mean, you got Nicole Kidman, you got William Dafoe, Alexander Skarsgård. The guy has to make. I kind of want him to now kind of like do a more traditional sword and sorcery action movie where he
Yeah.
gets to do more with the action.
New Conan movie?
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, he catches the spear and throws it back and hits the guy. I mean, how fucking
That was
awesome
cool.
is that? That
I
was the
love
best
that
thing. I
part.
love that part. Oh my god, I was just like, yes, that's the best thing ever. And and like I don't remember anybody's names except for Amleth, really. I mean, because and what I loved about this is it's not black and white. It's great. It's like nobody's really a good guy here because even Amleth, he's a bad guy. I mean, he became a berserker, and what he did to people, he's not good either. And then you find out that his uncle didn't even keep the throne. He got kicked out. And he's like running this like little like feudal place, out in the middle of nowhere. And I love the fact that he had brothers, and the older brother, and then you got the younger brother, but then he kills him. I mean, he's just a beast in this movie, and everybody just. I can't imagine like somebody getting the sheets to this movie, and because these lines were not easy to memorize. I mean, like what they were saying and like how they presented it and everything. So everybody just nailed it with this movie, and you can't go wrong with the cast. I mean, although I don't remember who played Fjolnir. Was it his name? His uncle?
Fjolnir,
yeah. I don't remember what his name was. I don't think I've ever seen him before. But he was awesome. I mean, and I if I have seen him before, I'm sorry, but like he was perfect for that role, and I just loved his interactions with him and with Amleth, and there was just so much juiciness with these characters, and again, it was like a Shakespearean movie played out in a Viking movie, and so yeah, I got to go 2 also with the characters on it.
Okay, Jay.
All right, so here's where I'm not on the same page as you guys. I'm giving it a 1. Nicole Kidman is the only character to me that was given any kind of character outside of what the story was showing, which is to say that we just thought, oh, she was the queen and she's evil. Then it turns out that she was a slave and she was taken by Ethan Hawke, and that's kind of her character. So you see where she's coming from. Nobody else, I don't see where any other character is coming from. They're just there to service the story. I think that's why I gave the story a lot more. It's the story that's driving all of this because nobody's good or bad. Everyone's out for themselves. This is the day-to-day happenings of living in this Viking world. People get killed, they get the throne, they lose it. Someone's a slave, they fight, they get killed. As someone wants revenge for something. This is the everyday world of how the Vikings inhabited. They raid, oh, we raided, yay, we're good. And then, oh, someone killed our guys. Oh shit, this sucks. Like, there wasn't like, I didn't see the brothers' motivation other than like, oh, I just want to kill my brother and be king. But it's like, well, now I'm not king. Okay, well, if you want to be king so bad, why don't you continue trying to be king and fight that other guy? Oh, I can't. Like, that's what it's not about. For me, it wasn't really about the characters. Like, Nicole Kidman's the only one where I can think like, okay, yeah, I get it. She was a slave, then she became this queen, and now she's like, well, screw you. You treated me like crap, so I'm going to go with your brother who really loves me. Everyone else, I can't explain any of their motivations at all. It's just they're doing it because this is what the world of the Vikings is like. That's where I dinged it. I don't. It's not that I dislike the characters. I'm giving it a 1, but they didn't stand out as like characters. Like, I like Skarsgård just because I like Skarsgård and he was cool in the movie, but like I can't get a handle on what that guy is. Like, I don't know. It's like he wants revenge, but then he waits, and then he's like, "Well, now I'm going to get it because I got the call to it." It's like, okay, I don't know. It's just weird. Like, I couldn't get behind any of the characters. Like, I wasn't super cheering when he's out killing the guys. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So for me, that's why I gave the story so high, because it's just the world that it created, and these are the people that live in this world. But the only character I think was Nicole Kidman, where I could understand what that character was. Whereas the other ones, I just couldn't get a handle on those guys. So that's why I'm giving it a 1. I still liked everybody. I don't think it was bad. So that's sort of where I'm, where you guys are a little bit low on the story. I'm a little bit low on the characters. That's my reasoning.
I disagree. Amleth, I thought, was actually well realized because he's obsessed with revenge, and then he meets Olga and realizes that revenge maybe isn't everything at first, and then he falls in love with her. And as he said, all I've known is revenge my entire life. He says, but now we start to learn love because of her, and he's going to have 2 kids. So he has to go. He was going to give up going after Fiona and going after for revenge. And then when he finds out the Olga's pregnant with his kids, then he's like, no, I have to kill him, otherwise he's never going to stop hunting us. So he knows he's got to sacrifice himself basically to save his family. So no, I think he was a great character.
No, I'm giving it a 1. 1 means it's good. I just can't like I mean, if he didn't get revenge, there'd be no movie, right? Like he's gonna have to fight. So it's like he's playing out what he has to play out as part of what it is, you know. Like I don't know. I never understood why he waited so long. Like I just didn't get what happened there. Like when he tried to get revenge quicker, like why did he wait X years or whatever it was? I don't know what happened there, but I liked him, but I don't know. I'm not like, I think he's a good character, but he's not Conan to me. I wasn't like, yeah, like I was like, yeah, this is cool. Plus he killed a lot of innocent people too. Like he's a great character, okay. Right? Yeah. So it's like, it's not
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, he does, I guess, technically kill some innocent characters, especially during the Berserker Rage, but he's not the main one, like doing the absolute, like we're seeing it almost through his peripheral off to the side of what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
There's also a thing of this, because it is an Edda, it is a saga, that he is on the warrior's journey, and there are rules that he is having to abide by. I mean, there's this, he can't do what he's supposed to do until the mountain is on fire. He has to go to this place because that's what the seer told him in the vision. He's also driven by how he was raised. Everything his father taught him was, I don't want to be sacrilegious, but basically his Bible. That's what he was supposed to, abide by, regardless of what happened. And then he's torn because he has every opportunity to leave with Olga. Olga wants to kill everyone and just leave. Right. And she's, the only, like, his connection into the place. And all through the movie, he still thinks his mother is a prisoner. Mm-hmm. He is also now, there is a child that he now feels, because he saves the child's life during the game, which I thought was a fantastic, scenario. And he easily could have just let that kid get killed. Mm-hmm. He intercedes, and that gave him good fare to get in tight. He's kind of like the, what do you call it in the prisons? The trustees. He was the trustee on the slave farm. And when he goes and gets the sword, even the sword prevents him from doing certain things. Now it's, again, mysticism, it's more in his mind that he's not pulling the sword, but it's supposed to be, the sword refuses to be drawn. Right. So he is following a set of rules. And again, when he goes and he does leave and he's with Olga and he has kids coming, I feel like that is an excuse for him to be like, I still have to go do this. My dad, I have to kill this man. To protect my children, but I have to fulfill my journey, my quest. And that's where we get the fight in the fire, which is nothing but pure testosterone. I want every action movie to have everyone naked, fighting over lava with swords, and just insane. That's why I understand that the trailer misled a lot of people. And that's the biggest bitch I see people are complaining about. I didn't watch the trailer, so I had nothing to tell me this was action. Mm-hmm. Just that end sequence should have had every action guy going, I didn't understand what the fuck was going on, but that ending, this movie was fantastic. Yeah, that's all. It's that simple. I mean, if you didn't make it to the end, you missed out on quite possibly the greatest finale of a movie I've seen in a while. But that's my rebuttal. I know you can. One is good. You're right. But
I could rebut to the rebuttal. See,
go ahead. I like it.
He's a product of the story. He's not making decisions. He's not a character. He is a story element. He's not like a character that is driving things. He's like, oh, I can't do this until this happens. The story is guiding him, not his own. Like versus Nicole Kidman, who is a character who guides herself. She's like, look, I was a slave. Screw this. I'm done. Yeah. And I'm not saying she's right or wrong. And I don't care if someone's a killer or not. That's why, to me, it's like this is the world, and the characters that inhabit this world are following their destinies. It's not a character. It's not like Conan saying, "Crom, to hell with you. I'm going to do whatever I want." He's like, "No, I've got to follow the story that's set out to me." So that's why I gave the story so high, because I saw it as, this is the story, this is the world, these are what the characters do. The only character that stood out of that story was Nicole Kidman, to say, look, I'm running my own thing here. And I understood her motivations. Like Anya Taylor, she just doesn't like anybody. Like, I don't need everyone's motivations, but for me to be into the character, I do need to know a little bit more. Skarsgård was good because, yeah, he wants revenge and he needs to wait to get it because he's fulfilling the prophecies as it's being foretold. Yeah. But that to me is still a story element, not his character. The one time where he had an opportunity to abandon that, he didn't abandon it because destiny foretold that he wasn't going to abandon it and that he had to have that final fight, right? He just wanted to plant the seed.
I mean,
so that's where I'm at.
I agree with you 100% on, the Nicole Kidman and everything. I think we're on the same page. We're just, whether it's story or whether we put it on character, that's it. I mean, it's all good.
Yeah, and judging by what we're at, I'm going to be the highest rated person. I'm going to give this the highest, judging by where we're going on this. But anyway,
it's all right.
So enjoyment. Over to you then again, Charlie.
0. No, it's a 2.
0.5.
Yeah, I wanted to walk right back in the theater and watch it again. I really did. I was like, what did I, after everything I saw, what did I miss? I want to go catch every little thing that happened. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. There was nothing in it I did not like. I loved the rituals kind of catch you off guard, but I loved that about this movie. The whole berserker ritual, getting themselves amped up to go into the raid, everything leading up to, where he goes and gets the sword, which is kind of the Conan moment, the whole thing where he goes and gets, his weapon that he needs, the Excalibur moment, if you will, too. He goes and gets what he needs and he fights a demon. It's fantastic. There's no point in this movie I'm ever bored. Yes, there were times where the pacing was a little slow, but I'm enjoying what's happening in between the excitement, the things that are really grabbing me in this movie. And I could sit here and talk about every little thing I love about the movie. Just go watch the movie and you'll understand what I like about the movie. So 2 on enjoyment, 100%.
Okay. For me, I'm going to go 1.5. So actually different for once. The pacing at times could put some off. Like I said, I wasn't particularly bored at any point, but I just think as viewers in general, they should be warned that, it's not wall-to-wall action or whatever. So, the pacing does lag a little bit. But Skarsgård, absolute beast. Love him. Love all the weirdness and the rituals and everything. Because the rituals, you're like, what the hell is this? But it's world building and really brings you into this unfamiliar landscape, which we haven't really seen. That's why you're just stuck to watching. Like, I can't wait to see what weirdness is going to happen next, because I love weird. Weird is one of the biggest selling points of films. Like, okay, weird is something different, and that's always refreshing. So I like that. I'll be buying the 4K for sure. So yeah, it gets a solid 1.5 for me. All right. So John.
So going back to one of my early points, like I was like you Charlie, you were saying like a lot of people got pissed, but from the trailer being misleading. I was not pissed that I was, because I've mentioned in some of my past live streams that like when a movie makes me do a double take, that's when I own up and be like, wow, this movie has something going for it, because it made me be like, what? Now again, it could be my neurological disorder speaking, but like when I started watching, I was like, wait a second, this is something different. This is now, I gotta buckle in, because what the fuck is going on? It's like I don't know what's going on, and it's like I love that aspect to it. And again, the visuals, and I said it earlier, I go, it's like almost a perfect blend of artistry and action movie, fused together, and like you're saying, how can you not love that ending? And like I said, simultaneously head chop off with the sword you're going in, best thing ever. So you got cool action beats. I love the music, the percussion, the bum bum bum. It was just like it just gets you pumped up and motivated. And again, I love the visuals, like I talked about the Valkyrie, and the Valhalla, and I love the beginning, how you have the voiceover Odin, and it's like, oh, wait a second, this is gonna be something different going on here. So am I gonna give it a 2? No, I'm not gonna give it a 2, just because, like I said, I think if I watch it more, I will start to gradually understand it more. And I think I was one step behind on this movie because of what I'm going through right now. But I did enjoy it. I did like what it had going for it, and I did love, like, how it was not what I was expecting. So right now I'm going 1.5 for overall enjoyment. But I loved the hell out of it, and I loved that it was different, and it gave me a different type of Viking story, because they could have done if any other director had directed this, you would have had like a 2-hour and 15-minute Viking episode, like I talked about earlier. Yep. And it's like, we've already seen that shit. It's like, that's generic Viking stuff. It's like, yeah, more battles. It's like, yeah, that's cool. But this just, like, with the artistry and the visuals, and I like that Rowan was saying weird. It was weird. I like, my wife kept giving me the stink eye. She's like, what the hell is going on? And I'm like, wait a second, I'm watching this for the first time too. It's like, and it was great. And I just love to see the reaction on her face. And when the movie was over, her and I both look at each other and we were like, I don't know if I like it or I hate it. I go, wait a second. It's like, yeah. And I had to watch it again today and be like, yep. Okay, I get it a little bit more, and I know what it's going for, and I know it's Eggers, and I know what he was trying to attempt. And Charlie, it's interesting that you said, because I did not know that he had problems with the post-production. So it's like, ooh, what did he want to put up on the screen?
My thought on that is the studio went, oh shit, this isn't Vikings on the big screen.
Yeah,
he made a theater play with CGI. Right. And that's exactly what it is. And I think that's where they took what he had, and that's why we get some of these elevated action scenes, was the studio going, we made a trailer that made everyone think we're watching Conan. We don't have anything else that fits that. But the good thing is everything that's in the trailer is in the movie. It's not like they bait and switched you.
They did not. But it's just so, like, if you're saying, like, if Eggers had full control in post-production, we would have had less action.
I think it would have been a more fluid movie. Okay. I think pacing would have probably gone up.
Yeah. Okay. So I that's a shame, because again, it's like studio fair sucks, because it's like, I'm like, right now I'm saying it's like how I love the combination of the two. Like, if he had done what he was able or wanting to do, it might have been a totally different story, and it might have been even better than what we got.
We'll never know.
And we'll never know. Yeah, so I'm gonna go 1.5. I loved it, but it's like I just gotta understand it a little bit more. So that's all.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, Jay.
I'm giving it a 2, and then I'm going back and I'm giving my pacing a 2 out of 2 as well, just because I like this movie. So I'm giving it a 2 for all the reasons that you guys have mentioned. The thing with me is that, like, sometimes a simpler story is required for you to be immersed in the world of what the story is telling you. It's like you need to be slightly dispassionate. You need to be able to see what is going on everywhere and not focus too much on just one aspect of things. And I like seeing these rituals. I like seeing things that we haven't seen before presented in a way that I can sit and watch. Not a quick 2-second shot of a ritual. What does that mean? Oh, we put a ritual in. Isn't that cool? No, I want to see the whole damn thing. Like, oh, this is weird. Okay, this is what they did. Wow. Then you start to think, wow, did they really do this? Let me look that up. And it's like, it's all part of the world of the Vikings. The Vikings TV series, which I did watch the first few seasons of, was cool, but it started to become mostly character-driven drama points of who's, trying to do what to whom. Yeah. And that starts to become a soap opera where it has nothing to offer except for what character am I rooting to kill off what other character. And it's not like it was Game of Thrones well done where, you're watching this political intrigue happen. You're just kind of like, oh, okay, this is okay, but I'm not super dying. Like, it's still an okay show. I did watch the first few seasons. This movie was the world of the Vikings, unapologetic, So it's like if your hero or your protagonist is doing bad things, well, the Vikings did bad things. They didn't knit sweaters for people, right? Like they're rough, tough killers, right? You know, so that's what the story is. So even though I dinged it on characters, I understand that, they can't be heroes. So, but the enjoyment level for me, I was like, this is like borderline masterpiece. I was just like, wow, this is awesome. And like, if you just asked me without doing all of this, I would have just been, oh yeah, it's 10 out of 10. You just get this movie. It's awesome. But I love slow. If it's fantasy, slow moving, done well, I love it. My favorite movie is Conan the Barbarian. Excalibur is in the tops. Even if it's like, I like Crawl. I know that's a slow movie. Everyone thinks.
I love Crawl.
I love Crawl.
I love it.
It's not Conan the Barbarian. It's not Excalibur. But Excalibur and Conan the Barbarian have more poetry and symbolism, than that other one. But like this one does have some of that too. So I'm like, okay, right? So that makes me more excited about it. So that's why I'm giving it a 2 for enjoyment. I thought it was awesome. So I've got everyone's score.
Okay.
Okay. So Owen, you're at a 7.5.
Okay, that's about right.
Does that sound pretty good to you? Charlie, John, you're at an 8.
Yep.
Does that sound pretty fair?
That's actually higher than I thought I was going to give it. So
Okay.
So I'm
I on the review I did, I had to do the stars, and I gave it 4 out of 5, and I feel like that's right around.
That's
8. That's an 8 and a 10. So I was like, I think I was pretty much dead on with that.
Yeah.
I gave it a 9 when I upped, and if not, I would have given it an 8.5 if I did the pacing. But you know what? I went back because I was never bored. I was really intrigued.
I can't stop thinking about it. Like all through working about it, I keep thinking of various scenes keep coming back to me, and that's a sign of a great movie right there when you keep thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's why I want to watch it again and be like, okay, will I understand? That's what I was saying before. I'm like, I wish I would have seen this movie with the right frame of mind, because it might have been a different experience for me.
Had it been cheaper to walk in and go watch it again, I would have. I just didn't want to buy another movie ticket that's already expensive enough to go. I can't even get popcorn anymore. But
well, and you're buying the 4K. My thing is that if I'm going to buy it anyways,
I'm gonna wait. Yeah,
you're gonna not go again, right? Like
you don't have to wait long anyway these days. It's only a matter of weeks.
No, it's gonna be out. I think Sony's the only people that are dragging it out with their Spider-Man releases and stuff. But even that's faster than it ever has been. But this movie will probably be on 4K next month or something.
It's already pre-ordered on Amazon, so I've already pre-ordered it, right? And like, I don't think it did. I was looking at Wikipedia and the box office. It
didn't do good. Yeah,
it's not a commercial film though. I mean, the Joe Schmo public wouldn't be like that.
This will get traction. This will get traction on DVD and streaming.
It'll become a cult classic.
But one of the things I did read though was like they were basically saying like this was Eggers' probably only chance to have this big of a budget behind one of his movies, but because it didn't do what the studio wanted it to be versus what Eggers gave them, he won't get a budget like this behind him probably ever again. But I'm glad they did it on this one. I mean, I do want to go watch his other stuff. I haven't seen The Witch or The Lighthouse. I did read up on him a little bit because, good God, Anya I know is in The Witch, and she's enchanting in this movie. She, you are staring at her. She's almost like glowing in porcelain. I mean, you're just like, holy crap. And I haven't watched it with my wife yet, but I got to at least go for every boob. There's at least a dude butt or dong. So it's all equal opportunity in the Viking movie. And there's a reason it's not called the Vikings. It's the Northmen. Right. It's not the Vikings. I mean, Viking was a profession, that's why there's berserkers and Northmen. So it separates itself.
Imagine putting on your resume. How cool would that be? What's your job? I'm a berserker. Okay, that's fucking awesome. You're high. That's so much
high on mushrooms and wearing a dead bear. I'm in.
Barking like a dog.
Where do I sign up?
Well, I'm willing to watch The Witch. So after seeing this movie, I'm actually willing to watch The Witch again because I was really jacked up to see it. And I like slow burn movies that are atmospheric.
Now that we understand his style, we probably appreciate it more now, I think.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah. It's just I was just like, I just could not get into anything that was going on, and I literally didn't care if everyone died. I'm halfway through. I'm like, we need Jason Voorhees to come and kill this family and just end this movie because
Well,
like,
you went
nothing's
in
happening.
expecting one thing and
Yeah.
not knowing what you were going to get. There's a lot of boobs. Thanks, Ben. Ben has
Oh.
watched tons of boobs. If I want to watch a boob movie, Ben, what's got boobs? He'll tell me. But no, I mean, and I think that's what hurt the Northman. People went in, and I'm not dinging it, but I'm saying
No.
they went in expecting Conan. I feel like they maybe got something a little more in depth than Conan. I love Conan too. It's a fantastic movie. This is more story driven, a little bit more. You know, there's more of a saga to it, old style. And Conan gives us a lot more swordplay / bash. You know, kill everyone, win at the end. We're good to go.
Conan
This
has
one is
camel punching in it, so Conan wins.
yeah, camel punching. I mean, this movie has no villain. The innocent people are the slaves and the village people. There's no innocent person, good, bad. It's all gray. This whole movie, that's all about a gray path. It's survival. You know, that's what everyone was doing back then.
Yeah,
I get off my high horse. It was an awesome. I wanted to give it a 10. I just knew I couldn't. You know, it's movie's fantastic. I think everyone should watch it.
Yeah, give it a chance. I mean, yeah, it's not a straight up action movie, but watch it for something different, and it's something original. You know, yeah, I guess the story isn't, but it's not a comic book movie. It's nothing like, you know, that. It's a new story with new characters. You know, it's definitely deserves to be checked out.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody's always bitching about there's nothing new. It's all reboots. It's all remakes. Nothing. Everything's the same shit. And then here comes this movie. Like, yes, the trailers were a little misleading, but it gives you something. It immerses you in a totally different world. It gives you something different. Everybody's like, and then we won't name names. But, oh, this is boring. Oh, this is, you know, it's like, what do you want? It's like, do you want the same old shit? Which I'm fine. I love movies, you know, that have the same plots and shit if it's done well, but it's like if I get something different, you know, and here it is, it's like what are you looking for? I just want to be like, I don't know what else to tell you right now, because it's like you hate this, you hate that. It's like then you hate movies. I don't know what to tell you.
They don't want. They actually don't. Nobody actually knows what they actually want. That's the problem.
Yes,
it's like people say I'm all out of this now. Like now it's like, oh, there's Batman fatigue or there's Spider-Man fatigue. It's like I've been reading Spider-Man comics since I could read.
Yeah.
And I'm not fatigued. I fucking read the latest issue that just came out. They can do a Spider-Man movie every month. And I'm like, it's like, so I never get fatigued on anything. The same shit I liked as a little kid, I still like now and never stop. But most people don't know what they want and they just go with trends. It's like, oh, you know, these superhero movies are tiresome now. Okay. It's like, fine, and then it's like, well, go try the Northman. No, that looks boring. Okay, then what do you want? Then I don't know. What do you want? What do you want? Then I don't know. I want something that I like in this one moment, or
I want someone to tell me what I like.
Right,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Did this one do great in the box office? Oh, I love this movie. Did you really though? I mean, and that's it. I mean, I can go to a movie that everyone's like raving about on a Marvel movie or hell, the Star Wars movies, and you walk out there going, "What the hell was that?" And it's going to make billions of dollars. Everyone's going to be happy. Everyone's going to be like, "Oh, it's awesome! It's all this," and I'm sitting there going, the hell's wrong with all of you people? No, and then I watching Northman, and everyone's like, "This is shit. This is not Conan," and I'm going, you know,
it's not trying to be.
It's not. Yeah, no one said it was. One trailer said it might be, but you know, that's the studio, though. That's 100% the studio.
A lot of people think Conan's boring, though. Like I've had so many people saying Conan the Barbarian is boring.
I've heard that.
Like it's like they're like, well, nothing happens. I'm like, so much happens. There's so much poetry and metaphors and like the riddle of steel. Like there's so many things. I wrote an essay on it. It's like the camel thing. It's like it's a masterpiece. Like the people that love it think it's like a masterpiece. Like my buddy and I grew up watching it 100 times. Like we watch it 100 times.
Oh, it's countless for me.
Like our favorite. It's like our favorite movie. So it's like it was my first tattoo. But yeah, I mean, people need to like relax. They need to prepare themselves to be immersed in something, and whatever that movie is, that's fine. But, you know, I think what happens is that when studios try to pander to the vocal crowd, the crowd that doesn't spend money, you're trying to appease people that didn't pre-order the 4K.
The Pathfinder. Yeah.
What did he say? I missed that.
Carl Urban. Yeah.
It's kind of hated the Pathfinder. The Pathfinder was cool. I bought that.
I
like,
love
bought
that.
that.
I have that. I've seen it a bunch
I
of
have
times.
it. I saw it in the theater.
I bought it. Yeah.
It's Marcus or whatever. What's
I
the
saw it
name?
in the theater too, opening weekend. Yep.
But
Yeah, people are sort of like, I want to see a Viking movie, and like, okay, well, here's the Northman. No, not that kind of Viking movie. One
right.
yeah.
I want the one that I want in my head. Like I love the Green Knight. I gave that 10 out of 10. And again, people thought
that was good. I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't watched it yet either. Yeah,
I thought it was 10 out of 10 now. So I mean, whatever, leave that up to. It's very slow, and it's not exactly the Green Knight tale.
You hear so much about A24 Studios, though. I mean, that's a they love it or they hate it type of movie studio right there.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie, let me ask you. You said you can't give it a 10 out of 10. Why? If you really love the movie that much and you have and you back it up, give it a 10 if you want.
Because of the how we break this down space, it was the pacing and this.
Yeah.
And I agree with J-Man. We can't say it's the first story, but it's a damn early story, and it has been, I think if I got what Eggers wanted to put out, that might've been the 10 movie, but because this is a studio interfered with, I have to bring it down. I didn't give it a 5 when I reviewed it first, but I've also only watched it one time. So I could be like what you guys have said. If I watch it more, maybe my appreciation of things will grow as it goes. I know when a movie has grabbed me like it did, and I went with 2 of my buddies, and they both liked it. Seth liked it pretty good. He goes, I love the action, I loved it. He goes, I was kind of confused in the other stuff. My other buddy, JD, is an English major, and he is like me. He was like, that was the best fucking movie I've ever seen. He's trying to explain to Seth all of like the meaning behind stuff, and the Eddas and the sagas, and Seth's just like, okay, yeah, no, it was a good movie. Director cut may get that 10. If we get a director's cut, Ben, I don't know if we'll get one. That's
something fans
that's the bitch of it, because if Eggers was actually that held back on editing, they may just be like, no, you're not gonna. It may not be there to put into the story, or it could hurt it even. I guess if something, maybe he wanted to do a story and they needed to film something to fix that, to fill in a spot. That happens, and if the studio said no, work with what you got, it could be what we got out of it. Yeah. Well, still a fantastic movie.
He didn't pull an Alan Smithy, right? So he didn't remove his name or anything. So
he stands behind this movie. It's more of a regret, and he also stated he's like, I don't know if I'll ever get this chance again, and I think that leads towards where it wasn't a box office success, but he's happy with the movie. He just knew that it was not his perfect vision, and probably not Skarsgård's either. I mean, Skarsgård was already having it written when he met Eggers, and he actually convinced Eggers to do it. And Eggers got more and more into it and put his flavor and style of filmmaking onto it. And that's what we got. But ask me in a few months after the DVD comes out, it might be 10.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. It's like the movies that do make money, like making money doesn't make it a great movie.
No,
like
absolutely not.
The Star Wars sequel trilogy is like all made $1 billion, and 3 unwatchable pieces of shit.
Yeah. With little things in it that are fun to watch.
Right.
There's
a couple
little
of nostalgia moments or whatever.
Exactly.
But no coherent story. I mean, the story.
No.
If we did space on the Star Wars sequels, it'd be a story
Zero.
Yeah,
zero.
That's because when they did the movies, they went, do we have a story? No. Just shoot some shit then. That's all we need.
Let's remake A New Hope.
I think, that one's the worst. That's the worst Star Wars movie because it's a blatant ripoff and it's offensive. The other ones did other stuff. But the other thing is I could take a generic Star Wars movie that has nothing but fighting. What I can't take is the systematic dismantling and destroying of classic characters that built this franchise.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia picked up this fucking Star Wars thing and put on their back and carried this shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's how we reward them. Han Solo has given up being a good person after his story arc in 3 movies, and now he's a deadbeat dad who doesn't care about his son, and then his son kills him like a loser on that bridge. I'm like, okay. Luke Skywalker, who saves his father is the most evil piece of trash villain of all time. He's like, no, Dad, I see the good in you. He works so hard to say, I'll never fight you. Yeah. But he's willing to kill his nephew because of a small little hint of, ooh, I felt the dark side. It's like,
Yeah.
And then
That's not
throw
who the
my
character is.
lightsaber into the cliff, you know.
Like, and then he's like, "Do you want me to fight the Empire with a sword?" It's like, you did it for the other movies. It's like you were the only Jedi. You did it by yourself in the other movies, and then it's like they just, he dies like a moron, and you're like, what am I supposed to latch onto? If the
And then
characters
Rey is a total nothing character. It's like, what's Rey's character arc? Oh wait, she doesn't have any fucking struggles whatsoever. She keeps all her limbs. Like in every other Star Wars movie, someone gets an arm or leg cut off or whatever else.
The first 10 minutes of her was okay. When she was surviving on her own, I was like, oh, this is cool. She's surviving. She's like, and then it's like Luke Skywalker. Oh, okay.
That's because Finn took all the damage for her. That was the buffer. He got the shit beat out of him and even drugged down for her.
Thank you, Finn.
And that was a shame too, because like Finn had potential. I mean, me and Ed watched Rise of Skywalker the other night, and if I'm honest, Rise of Skywalker is probably my favorite of the three movies because it's got Palpatine in it.
No, I agree with that. Yeah.
But all I was thinking of, because Poe and Finn were such total non-entity as characters. Like Poe has nothing. He's there.
He was my favorite in the first two. I was like, I am 100% Poe Dameron. I got his action figure. I got the X-wing that's his. And the third movie come out, and I went, they made him a bitch. What is this?
And then it's like I was like, I was saying to Ed after we watched the movie, and I said, what would have worked so much better in this trilogy is if Finn and Rey were both Force sensitive, and then Finn gets jealous because Rey is more powerful, and he turns to the dark side, and their friendship is ruined, and then she has to redeem him through love at the end, which is kind of the same as like Luke Skywalker or whatever. But I like the idea of like two friends and him being like a stormtrooper was cool, and they did nothing with that. As well.
They give him a lightsaber.
Yeah, and they do nothing with it.
Nothing after.
And the third one is like, I have to tell you something. I'm not going to tell you. Bye.
Yeah. And then we give you Rose. That. Oh God. But then we get movies like Rogue One. Let's have a standalone movie. I fucking love Rogue One.
Oh, that was the best movie ever.
Standalone movie that fit in between everything with little sprinklings of nostalgia that we love. And give me a story that I can follow and I can like the characters, then fucking kill them all at the end.
And they didn't cheat the ending. That's right. They did not.
Yeah.
You know why many spies gave up their life. Now you know. It's
we just watched it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you're emotionally engaged. Like the old Donnie Yen is in it. They kill off Donnie Yen, the bastards. And
that was the best scene.
That was an amazing scene. No, the best scene is Darth Vader's.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I meant most emotional scene.
Yeah, but the Vader.
Okay, most emotional. Yeah, the Vader scene.
I remember seeing it in the cinema with I like grabbed his arm as soon as you hear the footsteps. And I was like, oh my god, is this gonna be? Yes!
The only downside to that though is that makes the beginning of New Hope bullshit. It's like we're on a diplomatic mission, from Alderaan, and Vader's like, bullshit. I just watched your ass come out of that ship and light speed away from me, and it's literally been like 30 minutes ago. Come on,
And then you got her the weird CG face where she's like, Hope.
Yeah, that was.
Like,
they put all the money though into Tarkin, and I think Tarkin worked in that.
Yeah, he's not bad.
All they had to do was go get Millie Bobby Brown to play Leia for that scene, and I would have been
fine.
Perfection.
So that's the Northman anyway.
Yeah, I didn't mean to get us off on the tangent.
We just did an episode on the Star Wars sequels.
It's like, hold on, I'm out of toilet paper. Let me find the Star Wars sequels. Anyway, so we'll wrap up there unless anybody else has anything else they want to say about the Northman of my Star Wars. So I'm off on vacation on Friday, so bye. And I'm back on the 5th. So I think the 8th of June then we'll do Excalibur then. And don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the Cyborg versus Nemesis. I just need to have time to watch them because I'm not going to get to watch them until I come back.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
So we'll do that, and then I have this desperate urge to watch and talk about Passenger 57.
Oh, I love that movie.
Oh, good. Right. So we'll do that once I get back to.
I haven't watched that in forever. That'll be a nice little.
Yeah, I've watched it for a couple of years, but it's Wesley Snipes, and it's got so many great one-liners in it.
Yeah.
He's Bet on Black.
Yeah. So, and then Bruce Payne just chewing the scenery as well.
God, yes.
So we'll do Passenger 57 as well then. So, but Excalibur on June 8th, which is the Wednesday. So, thank you all, and If you are watching, remember, you are the action elite.